everybody. Welcome back to One Loud Voice. We are actually in the middle of a series called The Upside Down Invisible Kingdom. In this series, we are diving deep into the blessings and the teachings of Jesus, just really looking at those as far as what it looks like to be a disciple of Jesus the way Jesus set it out to be in the very beginning. So we are running through right now the blessings, or what is called the Beatitudes, of the things that Jesus said right at the beginning of this big sermon called the Sermon on the Mount. And we're about halfway through these blessings, and I thought that it would be a really good time for us to just kind of stop for a second and talk about what it means, what the word blessing means, and what it means in relationship to the Bible.
Because we've never really done that.
No, not really. And, one of the things that, as we've gone through this, we've realized that this word blessing is something that has been going on over and over and over again in the Bible. And even to this day, rabbis, priests, they will speak a blessing over.
Well, in different religious cultures, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And they speak a blessing. In fact, in the Old Testament, what the Jewish people call the Talmud, they are commanded to speak a blessing before they study the Word of God. And I just thought that was really cool. I never really picked up on that in reading through the Old Testament and stuff. Right. But, if we go to Numbers chapter 6, we can find the blessing that Aaron was to speak over the people. And this is a really common blessing. We've got a song that's real popular out right now that kind of includes this and stuff. But this is the blessing that God commanded Aaron to speak over the people. He said, "The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace." And maybe we kind of glaze over that because we've heard it so many times. But when you really stop and think about what God is wanting to say to his people when he says, I want to bless you.
Yeah.
I want you to experience my presence. I want my face to shine upon you. It's like it reminds me of when you walk in to see a grandma or somebody and their face just lights up. They're so excited to see you.
Yeah.
And that's that picture that I get when I read that blessing is that when we walk into God's presence, his face just lights up like, I'm so happy to see you. I'm so excited that you're here.
And when we're aware of his presence, our face does the same thing.
Yeah.
Right? That's so cool.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that I read in studying for this particular podcast or video cast is I read this article called The Power of Jewish Blessings. And, it's by this rabbi and stuff or this Jewish foundation, actually. And they say about blessings, they say a blessing is found only in an object that is hidden from the eye. And I just stopped right there and I thought, wow, like that so lines up with even with our title, The Upside Down Invisible Kingdom. And it's just this picture of there's more to it than what we can see or feel or taste or touch. It goes beyond our natural senses to this place where when God pronounces a blessing on us, what he's saying is that this is the life that I intended for you to have. This is what life should look like. This is what fulfillment should feel like.
Right. And oftentimes, even when there was instruction or correction, the forward blessing was, this is my heart. And now I get to tell you what you got to do to get to this place. It was never like, how often do we read scripture out of context and it's about the rebuke of God? You're like, oh, well, he's rebuking his people.
Mm-hmm.
But when you read the big picture, you see the blessing before the rebuke. And then you see, oh, wait a minute. God's heart has always been for his people. God's heart has always been for you, for me. And I'm, I'm big on studying posture in the sense of the way as Jesus is teaching, the posture that he took, or the posture he had when he flipped the tables, or whatever. And
Sure.
And I think that that's something that you see here is the posture of God is, look, I'm wanting to support and equip you to be the very best you can be, and that starts with a blessing.
Yeah.
And I just think it's so incredibly powerful. And you can look at our own lives. When somebody speaks a blessing over you, how that makes you feel. That when they just speak truth, or they speak life into a situation, you feel empowered, you feel equipped.
Right.
Even if what's facing you seems impossible,
right.
You feel like you have the strength to push through. And I just think it's incredibly powerful. And I'm so glad that we're talking about this.
Yeah. I love that perspective. I love the way that you just said that, because sometimes we think, we read the Bible and we kind of isolate it from our normal life, like our conversation.
It's a history
right,
book.
Right. But when somebody comes up, they don't just say, hey, blessed are you, the merciful, or this or that or whatever. But they just speak truth over you, and they speak life into your situation.
Well, think about like if you've ever lost a loved one, or you've gone through a traumatic situation, the people that love you the most, they don't come up and go, wow, that's awful. Sorry that you're going through that. Anyway, let me tell you about how amazing my life is. What do they say? I'm so sorry that you're facing this. If there's anything we can do, we are praying for you. We believe God is going to get you through this. I know it's dark today, but joy comes in the morning, better days ahead. Like they speak life into hopeless situations. And that is because maybe this is a little off, but I believe because we're created in the nature of God and in the image of God, it's in us. That when people are in situations where they need mercy, they need love, they need compassion, it is in our DNA to speak blessings, to inspire and equip those people to walk in the fullness of what God has for them. I mean, that's just that's the way my brain works, but you see it laid out here.
For sure. I just had this thought when you were saying that, like when you get, essentially you kind of get in someone's face, but you speak life and you speak truth to them. Remember when Hayden, our daughter, was like 2, and she wanted to talk to us, and she would literally grab your face and like look at you. And it's like that image that we have, that God just kind of grabs our face and
gently
says, hey,
around our cheeks. Not that angry
no,
but just that listen.
Listen
to what I'm saying, what you're seeing, what you're experiencing, what you're feeling, what you're thinking. That's not me. I'm right here. That's powerful.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, when we're looking through then all these, to me, this brings a whole new perspective to when Jesus sat down and he said, blessed are you when, you mourn. Blessed are you when, you show mercy. Blessed are you when you're persecuted. All those other things. It's like this whole new picture of what he's really trying to convey. It's like he's just kind of gently grabbing your face and saying, listen, if you want to experience the life that I've intended for you, this is what it looks like. This is what you need to be aiming at in your pursuit for success or whatever, fulfillment, purpose in life, aim at these things.
Right.
And this is where you're going to find the satisfaction and the fulfillment
Yeah.
in your life.
So maybe this is a good time to stop and break.
Yeah.
And if you're doing this as a study with a group of friends or your community, or even if you're just, this is you and you alone, and this is a great time to stop and journal, but think about what the picture of fulfillment and purpose in life looks like. Is it success? Is it comfort? Is it leaving a legacy? Or is it living the kind of life God intended for us to live? When you think about that blessing, a blessed life, being blessed, like what is that picture for you?
Yeah.
Do you have it wrong? And are you okay if you do, to explore the fullness of what God really meant for a blessing in your life? So take time to do that. And I just think it's going to be a great discussion.
Absolutely.
So
let's jump
verse,
in. Let's jump in. Matthew chapter 5:7.
Yeah.
And it simply says, "Blessed are the merciful, for they shall receive mercy." Now, I know we've kind of separately kind of studied some of these things out, but one of the big things that really stood out to me about this whole verse, when I went through and I read through a number of commentaries and stuff, every single one of them said basically the same thing. And that's that there's a difference between the mercy that Jesus is speaking of here and what we normally think of as far as showing mercy to someone.
Right.
Normally, if I'm going to show you mercy, it's because you've done something to me.
You're right.
You've lied to me, you cheated me.
You think of courtums.
Yeah.
You think of situations like that.
Yeah.
Or punishing a child or whatever.
Right. I've been wronged by you
and
or
I'm
by somebody.
I'm going to take the higher road.
Yeah.
I'm going to do the better thing.
Right. Absolutely. But everything that I've read, all the commentaries, all line up with this one thought. And that is that the mercy Jesus is really speaking about here is when you look out on humanity, when you look out on the world around you and the people that you know, and you see their struggles and you see their pain, that you don't just sit by and say, well, that's your life. I'm sorry, but I'm I'm good. Right.
Or we don't just turn the other way.
Right. Absolutely.
Forcing ourselves to make eye contact with those in need, forcing ourselves. I remember when the different commercials that they always come out like around Christmas time too, of children that are impoverished.
Like
Feed the Children or whatever, fantastic different organizations.
Yeah, right.
That are out there, and you see them, and what is our first instinct? Flip the channel.
Yeah.
I don't want to see that. It makes me feel bad. And if I feel bad, then I feel responsible. And I'm really loving life right now. Like, we've got our Christmas trees up, we're baking, our family's around. Like, I don't want to worry about, can I just check out from reality?
Yeah.
Can I check out from the rest of the world for a moment and pretend that that's not there?
Right.
And what Jesus is saying is, no, you can't. You can't. Not if you're going to be my people. Not if you're going to do like I do. He's not talking about people who sit in a church and don't do anything with it. He said, if you are going to follow me, if you're going to take up your cross and follow me, you don't get to turn away.
Right.
And ignore that there's a need.
Yeah. And to go back to what we were talking about, blessings, if you want to experience the kind of fulfillment and the kind of satisfaction in your life that I've intended for you to have, then you won't want to turn away.
Even though it's hard.
Yeah, right.
Even though it's hard. Even though what you see hurts. May it break your heart, it breaks mine, And that's just kind of just the attitude of Jesus in this moment.
Yeah. For sure. I mean, and when you look at his ministry, I mean, that was what he did.
Right.
You know, I mean, his entire ministry was about showing mercy to people that were hurting and broken, you know. So, but you had some ideas. You did some different things you were studying.
Super interesting because I just believe in root words and understanding that obviously we're reading an English version. What was the root happening here? What are we missing?
Right.
And the Latin word.
Okay.
For mercy. It's really pretty. It took me a little bit to learn to say it. It's misericordia.
Wow.
And
you did that well.
I did well. I practiced. Hello. But the misteri part means to have pity or compassion for. And the core is heart, but it is having compassion for someone from the very inmost depth of one's being.
Wow.
And just the idea that the compassion that Jesus had and has, and what he's calling us to is something that grips the depth of your soul to where it's all consuming almost. Like I can't stop until this situation is fixed. I can't stop until mercy is met. Till I can help to whatever capacity I can help in this situation. I do my part. And I just, when I read that, I thought about going back to the posture of Jesus in this situation.
Yeah.
He's sitting on the side of the mountain. He's talking to his disciples.
Right.
But there's also a giant crowd of people. And I know we've talked about this in previous episodes, but there's that giant crowd of people that came not to listen, but because they were broken and hurting and they were desperate.
Right.
And they came they were demon possessed. They were dying. They were deaf. They were lame. They had all kinds of weird sicknesses and diseases.
Yeah.
And he starts his ministry with them.
Right. Right.
And he heals them. And so now he's seated and he's talking to his disciples. And so the first layer is the disciples. And then behind the disciples are the people in which he that just experience misericordia. It's so cool, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's
deep
awesome.
Compassion. Like, why am I crying? Like, I love it. Because he's saying, look, I'm preparing you. I'm preparing you for ministry. I'm preparing you for something you don't even understand because I'm just going to be here for like 3 years. And in 3 years, everything that you're comfortable with is going to flip upside down. So I need you to start. It starts right here. Always have mercy for what's standing around you, you know? And I saw that and I'm like, this is so cool because how quickly, and I think that's why it breaks my heart a little bit because how often have I, in 22 years of ministry, gotten so consumed with the project, the day-to-day, you know, it's the Sunday service or whatever, not that those things aren't important, that I've missed out on the heart behind why we do what we do. And that is mercy, misericordia. The deep heart compassion, the depth of compassion that comes from a deep place in your heart. And so that just really, man. So when he says, blessed are the merciful, for they shall receive mercy. That means something totally different to me now than it did before because it's like, wait a minute. When you posture yourself to make eye contact with the hurting, the broken, the marginalized, the different, the ones that don't, whatever. I mean, XYZ, right?
Right.
And you don't just lay eyes, but there is a deep connection in your heart that you have a purpose on this earth that's greater than sucking air, that it's bigger than what you think. Yeah. All of a sudden, the mercy that you show those people, that mercy And I think this is one of those things that it's less about the mercy being extended to you because you become so consumed with your heart for others, but Jesus says, but you're going to have that mercy extended to you as well,
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's what
for
I
sure.
had.
We don't have time in this session to really like dive deep into this story.
Right.
But as you were talking, the story that came up in my mind, in my heart, was that moment when you were in Haiti and you got that message about that little baby that was sick up on top of the mountain, and the stuff that you had to walk through and the pain that you went through to get to the top of that mountain to show mercy to that family, that God wanted to show mercy, and God spoke to your heart. I mean, you admittedly even didn't even want to go, but God said, I need you, in your heart.
Well, we didn't even know what we were going up for.
Right.
And like, why am I, like, I already don't want to cry here. I'm like, why?
I know. I'm bringing up that.
Yeah, but it's the core. You want to hit the core of my heart. It's those moments.
Yeah.
Right? Where somebody who matters to Jesus, their connection to health, their connection to life is in the hands of people like you and me.
Right.
And we don't get to take that for granted. We don't get to take, we don't get to pretend like, well, somebody else will step up. Ooh.
Right.
Like that particular situation. If we hadn't pressed through and continued to hike that mountain in the pouring rain as we're sliding, that baby who had cholera would have died within the night.
Yeah.
And just, that's mercy. Right?
Yeah. But, and the reason why I brought it up too is because
you wanted me to cry.
No, I didn't. I didn't want you to cry, but I brought it up because it's this perfect picture of this verse, because you climbed that mountain because God told you to go, and you showed mercy. God showed mercy through you to that family and to that little baby. But then in turn, there was that moment where after all that happened, you stood on that top of that mountain and God showed mercy back to you.
Yeah.
Because he spoke something to your heart that you needed and wanted so badly to hear.
Big time.
And so God showed mercy back to you because you showed mercy,
Yeah. Wow.
So
that's good. So let's pause.
Yeah.
This is a great place to pause. So I can go cry my eyes out. No, I'm just kidding. How often do you make other people's pain a priority in your life? And not just the physical pain that you see, but the things people are going through. Pause right here. Discuss it in your community groups, in your small group, in your home, or journal about it. And be honest, right? Like, we want to say the right thing, but let's say the real thing. How often do we put ourselves aside and we put other people's pain as something as a priority in our life? Please understand, this is not about, there are some of you that your struggle is you've put yourself aside too often. You do need to take care of yourself.
Yes.
There are some people that it's like they're killing themselves because they don't ever take care of themselves. Jesus took breaks. Jesus rested. Please do not confuse those two.
Right.
Please don't take this out of context. Please understand that there is a balance to what the Lord is asking us. But those of you, you're few and far between. For the majority of us, we don't do a great job. I mean, I'll just say it. We don't do a great job of putting the needs of others as a priority and recognizing the pain people are walking through. So take a moment and discuss that.
Yeah. And just think about, how you might change some of that in your life, how you might make other people a more of a priority. So All right.
All right. So there's, I love, you said true mercy is void of judgment.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about that a little bit.
Well, I mean, think about it. When we show mercy to someone,
true mercy,
we don't look at their life. We don't look at the situation that they're in and go, well, you got yourself in this mess.
Right.
You put yourself, well, you made some bad decisions here, and that's why you're
not
here.
The moment.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Absolutely
right?
not. And so that's why I think that true mercy is void of judgment, that you have to just stop, forget about why someone's in the situation that they're in. What got them there? It doesn't matter in that moment. What matters is that they're hurting.
Yeah.
What matters is that they're in pain.
And let's be honest, do you think they don't know?
Yeah.
Come on.
Sure.
Come on.
We know, I know when I've messed up. When
I have gotten myself in a situation that I feel like there is no turning back, I know how I got there. You don't wake up and wow, how did this happen? You know.
Yeah. Yeah. So you definitely know.
Being the spokesperson is a reminder. I don't necessarily see that anywhere in the Bible where in this situation of mercy, you're like, by the way, I'm going to do this for you, but I'm going to tell you how much of a loser you are or how much of a failure you are, or how wrong you are and how right I am.
Yeah.
It's wrong.
Right.
It's wrong.
Absolutely. And when you look at the ministry of Jesus, there's not one time where he stopped and said, hey, before I heal you, before I do this for you, let's talk about what got you here.
No, that's usually follows later on. He heals them, he feeds them, whatever. He's like, hey, go and sin no more.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Go and sin no more.
And that's...
Don't do it. He didn't shred what they did. He's like, you know what you did.
Right.
You know how many husbands you have. You know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm meeting you in this moment. Just stop.
Yeah.
Stop.
Yeah. Stop the pain. Now let's
Yes.
move forward. Let's go on from
His
here.
His mercy is new.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And I love that.
So to be the definition of Christian is to be Christ-like, follower of Christ. You said something along the lines of the greatest way of imitating God. It was a quote you read.
Yeah. So one of the
one
of the commentaries that I read was this guy named Barnes, and it's Barnes' notes on the Bible, and it says, "Nowhere do we imitate God more than in showing mercy."
I love that.
And I think for a hurting world, for a world that's looking for answers, a world
it's in war.
Yeah,
right now.
Sure. A world.
As we're sitting at this table, there's a war going on between Ukraine and Russia, and
I know.
And that's like this is something that we have to be aware. Like we have a part to play.
Yeah.
Whatever that looks like.
Absolutely. I mean, and I think the Bible paints a very, very clear picture that God is not aloof or set aside from humanity. He looks at us. He looks at our world. He looks at the state of humanity, and his heart breaks. Yeah. And he wants to do something about it. And
he wants to use us to do it.
Yeah. And one of the greatest ways, if we follow what Barnes said here, one of the greatest ways to imitate God is to show mercy.
Yeah.
To people around us. Not mercy, and yes, mercy when you do something wrong against me, but mercy when I look at your situation, I look at your pain,
I see a need.
And I say, I'm going to step in.
Right.
I'm going to be Jesus to you right now.
Right. Wow. So our challenge.
Yes.
I want to just encourage you guys to not dismiss these challenges. If you're following us on podcasts or you're doing these videos with us, don't dismiss this. Mm-hmm. Even if you're by yourself, force yourself to follow through and hold yourself accountable. But is there someone in your life that you can show mercy to? Can you better their condition or help remove their pain? find that person.
Yeah. Yeah. And I want to add to that too,
Yeah.
that it doesn't have to be something huge. You know,
Nope.
Don't look at it and go, well, that's a huge problem. There's nothing I can do about fixing it. But find something, you know, to do to, even if it's just going and sitting with them and saying, hey, I'm here, I care.
Yeah. You know what? There's most people, if you're involved in a local church or community, if you have kids in school, like it's super easy to find out that there's people that have had surgery, that have been sick. I mean, with COVID, the flu, everything that's going on, there's people that have a need. Something as simple as, I'm going to pick up a pizza and drop it off at their house. I'm going to make a casserole. That is, I'm going to extend help in an area where maybe help is needed. Simple things like that. Like when I was a kid, old ladies used to, when people would die, they would make casseroles and just go sit at their houses. And I remember asking my grandma, like, why do they do that? Like, why do they sit? And she said, sometimes it's just being there, the presence that helps ease the pain. Like, what if they want to be by themselves? Well, then we sit in another room. It's so weird. But now looking back, it's the body of Christ being the body of Christ. Being present, being there to help in any time of need. So
it's funny that you said that too, because that's exactly what I was thinking about, is the person who lost a loved one. You know, that they say that the average death, people will be around, family, extended family, friends, that kind of thing, will stick around for about a week.
Right.
And then after that week, they start to kind of go back to their normal life and leave that person, you know, that spouse that just lost a husband, a wife, or a child or something like that, all alone, or to their just immediate family. And that's a great place to show mercy.
You know, I this is not my idea, so I'm not taking credit for it. But I have a friend that every time she knows of somebody who loses someone, she puts the person who passed birthday in her phone as a reminder. And then on Mother's Day and Father's Day every year, she puts reminders. And so the people, the moms or dads that have lost kids, or the people that have lost their mom and dad, or birthdays, whatever, she just sends a card or a text. Just, I'm thinking about you. And I think, when she was telling me this, I thought, how compassionate is that? How much mercy are you showing? This mom who's sitting there, this is my first Mother's Day without my child, to get a text, you're still a mom. You're still loved. Happy Mother's Day. Like, how comforting and how much, how soothing is that to that broken, hurt place? So, I mean, that's just a simple idea, something you can do to remind and, put dates in your phone. We all have technology now to put those in our calendars, and that's just simple. And those reminders keep you from forgetting.
Absolutely. We love it. Hey, thank you so much again for joining us for another episode of One Loud Voice. And we're hoping that you've enjoyed this series as much as we have. And we're looking forward to coming back again next week. Hope you join us. So until then, have a great week.
Yes.